Okay, so here we are in round 2, part 2 of the ESX video for melodic techno and progressive house. And now we're going to work on the melodic elements, and I'm telling you, this video is a banger. This is, I really lay out a lot of key creative and working techniques, okay, in my creative process here. Let's just get this thing started. Okay, so there's the pattern. First thing that I do is I go into these patterns that I made and I change the length to 8 and I rewrite them. Okay, this is because we're going to be adding these melodic elements. I'm going to extend the length of the pattern. So I go to 3. If you remember, I didn't put anything in 3 on accident, so I'm going to extend the length, the bar length of 4 and write it into the 3 slot. And then I'm still going to go to 4 and extend the bar length to 8 and write it. Now, just to give myself a little breakdown to introduce melodic elements, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, what I did just now is I removed the kick drums that provide that 4 on the floor thump, and I put them only at the drop of the first bar so that they kind of hit real hard when the bar comes in, but then there's no kicks. Listen. No kicks. Go to the slice parts, mess with the pitch. And I decided to remove most of the notes or the triggers in the slice part, as you can see. And what I decided to do in a moment is just hit shift and pad 6, which is clear part, and then I delete all that info, and then I use the arpeggiator, right? In drum parts, the arpeggiator is basically regulates timing when you go up and down the ribbon pad. So right in the middle, it's 1/8 notes, and then I use those 1/8 notes to enter in the note information, as you can see. Shift and pad 6, you'll see. Okay, just experimenting. Listening to, okay, shift, pad 6, delete, and I get the metronome on record so I can hear it and start entering that slice information just on 1/8 notes. Now I go all the way to measure bar 8 and I start putting them in manually to save time. I'm gonna meet, there we go. My manual entry and the arpeggiator do meet, okay? Okay, keyboard part 2, it's got that like leather marimba sound, hollow bamboo sound. It sounds pretty cool, but start messing with the filter, messing with sending that sound to different effects engines. I decide to mute more of the top elements here, just so I can hear what I'm doing and to provide some space to introduce new elements for this breakdown part. Now I'm just listening to different elements. Now, here's what I do next. I go to pattern 10, which is a blank pattern, and the reason why I do this is because I'm going to show you another technique. Just like before when we were loading ES samples from different project files, we're going to load a pattern, okay? So I go to 10. When you load a pattern, it loads in the existing pattern, the one that you're in, okay? And I didn't want to write over or put a pattern into the slot that I was already working with. So I go to 10, global. Shift and 16, load, yes. Load all, no. Change it to pattern. 16 again. Now you scroll to where you want to load a pattern from. Now in my pack, all right, at the end you'll see it's called arps and waves. And what this is basically is like 1,500 bars of arpeggios that I put into the force using another piece of hardware, actually a Kai Force. So I just created ARPs and put them in there. But it also has 255 single cycle waveforms in here as well. So that really adds to the pack and this and that. But you can build one of these, no problem. So I'm going here and I hit that yes, and I know because in C minor I have 8, C sharp minor I have 8 patterns, 8 bar patterns. So I know that by the time I get to A48, that I'm leaving the F minor where we're at now. So I'm going to go and choose patterns. I'm going to load patterns between A40 and A48. So I go in here. I know those are in F minor. So I scroll forward and I grab A45. And there's no way to audition these. I don't know what it sounds like yet. Now let's listen. Nothing, because it doesn't have those waves that I put in there. So we'll go back again. Load menu. And we'll go to ES sample. And we'll go back to the same project file that has the single cycle waveforms. Yes. Now, usually, as I showed previously, you can audition these waves before you put them in, but because these are single cycle waveforms and because the audition is not looped, so there's no way for me to listen and tell what they are. But I know that I have a bunch of sine waves in the beginning, different variations on the sine wave, then most variations on the saw, then I have some triangles and I have some squares, and then I have a bunch of strange things like PWM waves and things. So I scroll forward to A32 and load it, and when I go to sample, it shows me that it is indeed a sawtooth wave. I'm going to load a couple more. Now in this next attempt, I tried to go a little further and thought that I got outside of the saws, but I did not. So I actually load 2 saws here, and then 1 triangle maybe? I can't remember. Thought I was out of the saws. Not, but now you can listen to the 2 saws. They are slightly different. We'll do it again, just to get some variations. E sample, ES sample. ARPs and waves. This time we'll go into the 70s and triangle. Ooh, nice and deep. Thick waves, yo, with 2 C's. Okay. So these are the arpeggios that I just loaded, and I'm adding these. Okay, you hear that? Okay, now, if you're like me, even though I wrote these and I could easily use this, I don't want to use it as it is. If I get a sample pack or something like that, I want to augment the resources and make them my own. So I'm listening here. I'm watching the bars, and I notice that right around bars 7 and 8, there is some material that I like, that I would like to use, and I would like to isolate that. So what I'm going to use is the move tool to move bar 7 to bar 1. Okay, that means I have to shift all the note information up a couple octaves, or excuse me, a couple bars. Location, not pitch. So I want that 7 and 1. So I use shift and pad 2, which is move data. Hold down shift and go up to 2 bars, dial back. Now it's in the 1 position. If you need to pause that and go back, then pause it and go back. But it was pretty easy. You use shift to go full bars, and when you move it without shift, you go individual notes, forward and backward. Individual, 16th notes. Yep, so I really like that, those first couple bars. Messing with the sound a little bit, because I am going to use these sounds. Now I'm going to move this data and I'm going to choose repeat this time, so I can just grab a little bit and repeat it, like however many bars I want to repeat or notes I want to repeat. So I go to basically shift pad 2 and then you use the dial to go from move to repeat, and you use the same protocol basically. So now I'm holding down shift and I'm going to take just the first 2 bars and I'm going to repeat them throughout the 8 bars. That's what this is going to do. So now let's listen. Beautiful. Now I'm going to do it again with the other voice. Repeat. I'm going to do 4 bars. I'm going to add a couple of notes using the arpeggiator. Looks like I didn't use the arpeggiator. Just tapped it in. Notice in the filter section, a lot of times people don't take advantage of the EGINT. I don't know, envelope generator internal. I'm not really sure what it stands for, but what it does is it kind of adds an envelope to how fast it adds an envelope to how fast the cutoff frequency engages and in which direction, open or closed. Okay, so if you have that EGINT all the way to slope downward, which is all the way to the right, okay, and you have your frequency cutoff all the way to the left, meaning you shouldn't hear anything, it'll take a minute for that to come in. You can build a pluck sound, and you can also use it the other direction to give it a little bit of a slower attack if that's your thing, right? We are lacking proper envelopes, right? Amplitude envelopes in the Korg ESX, but here we are. So we're improvising, creating a pluck. Now I'm shortening the EG time, envelope generator time, to give it even more of a plucky feel. I'm going to write that. I'm going to go back to the pattern I was working on. Number 4. And I'm going to grab from 10 using shift and pad 3, which is copy part, and then I click it. If you look on the screen, copy part, and I go to 10 and I grab it. Now listen. Gonna mess with the sound again, make it fit the pattern. Okay, now I'm going to go move data, hold it down. I'm going to go to repeat. I'm going to hold down shift and I'm going to make it just repeat 1 bar over and over. I don't want this full melodic element that was just created on 10 to come in all at once. I want it to kind of fade in. So the first element is going to be just a 1 bar loop. Listen. Remember those kicks, ready? Write that to the next slot, which is 5. What I just did, by the way, is if you're working on a sequence or a pattern or whatever, and you mangle it or change it, change voices, anything, If you haven't saved it yet, you can hold down Shift and Pattern and it will immediately go back to its saved state until you switch patterns or until you tap the pattern button again. That's a little known trick that I often use and talk about. Beautiful. Now I'm going to go to the other keyboard part, reintroduce some of the top elements, but I'm about to use the copy part to grab the other keyboard element from pattern 10 that we created with what we imported. Messing with the snare. Okay, Shift, pad 3, copy part 10, yes. Now listen. More sound design here, change voices. It's getting buildy. Doing some motion sequence with the filter cut off. Give it a little movement. Oh man, it's starting to sound amazing. Now as you can see, I'm just making little adjustments here and there to the different sounds, changing some pitch, messing with the envelopes, messing with effects, and motion sequence. Just, you want to keep going just little by little until you start to strike gold, happy magic, right? And then you just want to save it to a slot that's further, right? I'm about to do that now. Save it to 6. And then go back and listen, right? Just went back to 4. Okay, this is a good time to talk about this sample pack, actually, the ESX pack. It's only $22 for now until it goes up to 40. There are literally more than 800 synth sounds in there. There are hundreds of drum sounds. There's 128 high quality effects. Actually, they're not even super high quality. The effects are crazy because you can use them in a variety of ways. There's 128 top loops in there. There is this project file that you're watching now, okay, but also they're all in mono and stereo waves in folders, so you can use them in any sampler or DAW, but also they are arranged in the .esx files that you can load onto your card and audition, right? So anyway, there's a link in the description. Go check that out. It's well worth it. And anyone who's ever supported me knows that I contact you personally every single time you buy something, and I send you free stuff. So yeah, there are a lot of bonuses. Let's get back in it. Okay, I went to the last one that I just wrote, okay, which is pattern number A6 now, and what I just did is I reintroduced the element in one of the keyboard parts from pattern 10, where we created something. The reason why is because now it's time to put the whole synth part in, basically, to not just take a little short 1-bar loop and repeat it, but to put the entire thing in. So. And now you can hear it. Interesting thing is that I'm trying to match the sound to what I was doing before, but what's funny is that you could use Shift and Pad 4, which is copy sound, and even copy the sound of the currently playing pattern that you're messing with, which is kind of funny. Silly me. think in a future video we're definitely going to cover adding some vocal elements for this track, probably. Now, I'm putting in a roll, a snare roll with a build. First, I'm putting the note information in, which I'm doing now. Messing with the pitch and the timing to make it roll better. Oh, roll button. Now, pulling the filter cutoff all the way down, the low pass filter, and I'm going to mute that and I'm going to save it to 7. Oh. Save it to 7. Okay, now here's the thing. We're going to listen to it and I'm going to practice a drop. It's not a drop yet because at the time of the drop, I basically just roll back to pattern A1, right, just to listen. It's not smooth, but I'm just practicing the transition. So in number 7, I'll probably shift and write so I can name it. I'll put a couple asterisks on there, okay? Also, with most of my sets, I usually name it what the key is. So I would have named these, all of these, right from the beginning, FM, F minor, right? Which I didn't, so that's kind of interesting. Anyway, a couple asterisks, that way I know that there's a muted snare on there. Okay, now what you're going to see is when I go there, I'm going to go to a stretch part. There's no stretch parts in here at all, and I'm going to select it so that I can pull the filter all the way down, and then I'm going to go back and select the snare so that I can fade that filter up as it builds and rolls. You don't want to mess with the filter and have it jump to a high or low location, an open or closed location on the fly. It kind of messes up the continuity. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So here I am. Mess with the keyboard part a little bit because for somehow when I saved it, the modulation of the cutoff points of that keyboard part goes past the threshold of human hearing, and I don't want that, so I'm going to adjust it so you can hear it at all times. See, when I pull it back in, listen. Here it is. Still listening. Yeah, better. Even if the movement isn't so striking, it's still better. Light from my window. Okay, go to the stretch part, pull down the filter, go to the snare, roll that filter up. Like I said, obviously this isn't very smooth, but I'm just testing things out. Mute, excuse me, solo keyboard parts at the end. So yeah, I lay down these skeletons and then I go back later, right? Which is not in this video, but I go back after all these things are down and I fine-tune them and I change them. I make them meticulous, make them better. So yeah, I'll keep up with this series and I'll keep replacing this file that's in the sample pack for those who get it. I'll keep replacing it with the newer version so that you can get the newer patterns and stuff. Okay, what I did this time is I took pattern 3 and I saved it to pattern 8 because I'm going to augment it and turn it into a drop-ish, a makeshift drop, or at least I'm heading in that direction. I need to change this light. Hold on. Okay, maybe you can see me different. I don't know. Change most of the elements around. Okay, so I copied the part from that keyboard part from the previous pattern, which is 7. Now I'm copying from 5 for the other keyboard part. Changing voices. Add some bass, low saws. Almost sigh, but no, it changes, you'll see. Messing with the filters, messing with the length of the note, e.g. time. There's some sigh, but it's not going to stay there, you'll see. Now, if you look at the note that's playing, that's F, okay? F sharp does not fall, see? F sharp does not fall in the F minor scale. However, when you add just a jump sharp periodically, it adds tension in techno. Listen. All electronic music, really. At the end of bar 4 and bar 8. There we go. Add to the chorus and flanger. Write that to 8. Beautiful. Like I said, happy magic, accidental magic, happy accidents, happy little trees. Like that crappy reverb, so I motion sequence it. Copied that synth part from 10 again, because it's going to be an extended piece. good. Change the pitch and the length of that snare to give it more punch. Increase the sensitivity on the compressor. Listen to the length of the individual slices in the slice part. Changing the top notes. Writing the whole thing to 9. Now I'm going to go to 10. See how that sounds. Watch. Obviously, I can use this for a breakdown part or many different things. Whoops. Backwards up the pattern chain. Okay, so at this point I go to pattern 15, which is a blank pattern, so I can load global, shift, pad 16, load pattern. I'm going to load another set of patterns from the ARPs and Waves collection. And last time I did 44, I'll do 42 this time. Again, don't know what it's going to sound like. Adding the synths to these arpeggios that we loaded in the first video instead of the single cycle waves, or at least one of them. Experiment a little. Back to 9. Copy part from 15. Save that to 11, so we passed what we did on 10. Mess with the kicks. Add the kick to the compressor. Why not? Just gives it some punch. And we're going to move data, change it to repeat, and just repeat that one bar. decimator. That's kind of interesting. Ooh, that's pretty. Go to the new patterns, see what they sound like together. Add some top loops on the fly. Yep, this is some good information. I think that's it. Everybody be blessed. Get ready for fall, because it is fall. We're about to have our Halloween, All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, harvest season, right? The Bible says that in the last days, the reaper will overtake the sower. So things are going to be happening much, much faster as time progresses. And I pray that if you're watching this, that you're going to be blessed because of it and not cursed. Love you guys. SnowMetalUniversity@gmail.com. You can contact me anytime for any reason. I always say that, and I mean it. And I get back with every single person, even if it takes weeks to respond sometimes. That's my thing. But I will try to be studious. Love you guys. Bye.